Hi everybody and welcome to a Grimdark Future Firefight Battle Report. The Battle of the Elves. Dark Elf Raiders versus High Elf Fleet. The surface of Crapus 4 is shaking with war and battles. Shakarth and Elven noble Nayara and their High Elf Fleet squad are surrounded by orcs to one side and alien hives on another side. They try to reach a scout ship that can take them off the planet, but it's a race against time. Shakarth is no longer the leader of the squad because of his poor judgment and performance in battle, but he is eager to prove himself. Dark Elf elite raider and leader Dhoros is watching the High Elf fleet approach. He knows very well that they are heading to the scout ship. This will be his chance to get off the planet as well as get his revenge over Shakarth. Once again, Nayara is the leader of the group. She is armed with sharp pistol and killing sword, and she has a toughness of 3. The same goes for Shakarth. He is a psychic and he is armed with energy spear and sharp pistol. And with them they have a wraith guard with wraith cannon and 3 defenders, all of them with shotguns. Dhoros is the leader of the Dark Elves. He is armed with energy sword and blast pistol and has a toughness of 3. He has 2 tortured warriors with regeneration, one with dual hand weapons and another one with arcane rifle and claw. And then there are 3 warriors, all of them with blast rifle, and they are true raiders, which gives them +1 melee and shooting. The forces will deploy with the High Elf fleet in player section A and the Dark Elf in section B. And all the elves except the tortured warriors and the wraith guard are fast. And here we have the battlefield. It's a breakthrough mission, which means that the objective is to seize the skull in the opposite squad's deployment zone. And over here the Dark Elves have spread out with 2 warriors on the right side, a lonely warrior on the left, and Dhoros and the 2 tortured warriors in the middle. The High Elf fleet have deployed Nayara and Shakarth and the Wraith Guard in the middle, and then 2 defenders on the right and 1 defender on the left. Let's roll off to see who will begin. Red dice for the Dark Elves and black dice for the High Elf fleet. A close and good roll here, but the first activation will go to the High Elf fleet. So eager to prove himself, Shakarth is the first one to activate. He rushes forward and takes cover behind the crashed spacecraft here, but he is out of reach with spells or weapons. Next up, the warrior here advances in cover behind another spacecraft, and from here he can shoot at the Wraith Guard. He has a range of 18 inches and he has a clear shot. He has a quality of 4, but he will need 3s because he's a true raider. But with 2s he misses both of his shots. Torine, the defender, immediately activates and retaliates against the warrior. He needs 5s to hit because he is in cover with his shotgun. And with double 1s, none of them really have adjusted their aims. Another warrior activates and advances his full range of 8 inches, where he can see and take a shot at Shakarth. He's in cover, so he needs 4s to hit. And 1 hit here, and that means that Shakarth is hit with an AP4 weapon, needing 6s now to defend. And oh my god, Shakarth is hit once again. 1 wound out of 3. Hubrin, the defender closest to Shakarth, advances, and from here he is just within the 12 inches range of his shotgun. So he fires 2 shots, needing 4s. And again, 2 failed shots. Not the best start of the High Elf fleet. Now Dhoros moves. He cannot reach anything, but he moves into a better position here behind the large industrial building. Nayara activates next. She advances and she can shoot the warrior with her short pistol. It's a range of 12 inches and she needs 3s to hit. 1 shot and 1 miss again. So far, the High Elf fleet have missed all of their shots. The tortured warrior with the dual weapons here is not within charge distance, but he can move closer and squeeze himself into cover here. That could turn out to be a bad idea, because now the Wraith Guard decides to charge back. It has 3 close combat attacks, hitting on 3s. And 2 of them here hit their target. It's AP nothing, so the tortured warrior will need 5s to defend. And he defends both of the attacks from the Wraith Guard, and now he can fight back with his dual hand weapons. He will need 4s, and he has 2 attacks. And 1 of them hit the target. It's also AP nothing, so the Wraith Guard will need 3s. And with a 1, once again a failed roll from the High Elf fleet, and that means 1 wound to the Wraith Guard. It still has 2 left. And then it backs off 1 inch. The other tortured warrior takes advantage of the situation. He moves in cover behind the building, but he has a clear shot at the Wraith Guard here with his arcane rifle with the sniper ability. So he hits with a 2. And that's a clear hit. It's AP1, so the Wraith Guard will need a 4. And that is just not enough. 1 more wound for the Wraith Guard. Nilax, the third and final defender, advances 8 inches. He is not in cover, but he can see and shoot at the tortured warrior. 2 shots with his shotgun, needing 5s. And he rolls a 5, and as far as I can see, a 4, and that means 1 hit at the tortured warrior. It's AP nothing, so the tortured warrior will need a defense roll of 5, and he fails. But he has regeneration, so he has another chance. With a 5 or a 6, he regenerates. And he does not, so he is hit and wounded, 1 wound, and now he'll have to roll on the wound chart to see what happens. And with a roll of 4, he is only stunned, but in a really bad position since he has already activated. And the last activation of the first round is the final warrior here, who moves in cover behind the crates, and here he can take a shot with his blast rifle at Nayara. She is in cover, but he's a true raider, so it's a quality of 4, and he hits 1 shot here, and it's AP4, and Nayara will need to make a 6 defense roll. And she doesn't, so 1 wound to Nayara, and that means both of the Elven leaders are wounded in the first round. So after the first round, the Dark Raiders have moved forward and wounded both the Wraith Guard and Nayara and Shakarth. On the other hand, the High Elf fleet had hit practically nothing, except for 1 defender who managed to take down a tortured warrior. But it's too soon to say anything yet. Let's proceed to round number 2. Once again, the High Elf fleet activates first in this round, and Nilax wants to finish his job. So he charges the stunned tortured warrior, and by doing so, he immediately knocks him out of the game. So the first casualty of this battle. The Dark Elf Raider warrior here strategically moves behind the spacecraft and cowardly shoots the Wraith Guard in the back. He only needs 3s with his blast rifle, and he hits both of them. And the already wounded Wraith Guard will now need defense rolls of 6. 2 rolls And he makes one of them, but one of them goes through. So that's the third wound for the Wraithguard, and he goes down. And he will have to roll on the wound chart now. And that will be a big hit for the High Elf fleet if he goes down. And with a roll of 5, he is knocked out of the game. He was the star of the last battle, but in this battle, he was completely useless. What a blow. And now it's Shakarth. Everybody holds their breath. He advances into position, and from here he can try to manifest a spell against the warrior. He will try to cast the spell Destroyer, and he needs a 4. And if he succeeds, he will be hit with 7 hits. And he succeeds for the first time in his career. He actually manifests a spell. So now this warrior will have to make 7 defense rolls, needing 5s. And he defends a few of them. 3 defended, but 4 goes through. So he is hit with 4 wounds. And of course, he goes down. And now he'll have a very important roll on the wound chart. And with a 4, of course, he is knocked out, blasted out by Shakarth's spell. And Shakarth also fires his short pistol, needing a 4. But that was a missed shot. But anyway, he succeeded with his spell, and that was really something. The tortured warrior with the arcane rifle and the sniper ability moves out into the open, because here he has a shot at the Elven defender hiding behind the building. He will need a 3 to hit because he's in cover, and he fails with a roll of 1. Nayara has known to be aggressive, and this battle is no exception. She activates and charges directly against Dhoros. She has 1 attack with her killing sword, needing a 3 to hit. And she hits, and it's an AP2 weapon, so Dhoros will now need a 6 to defend, otherwise he will be hit with a deadly blow. And he fails, so he is hit with the killing sword. 1 hit multiplied with 3, so that's a total of 3 wounds. And that means Dhoros goes down. It will be fatal for the Dark Elf Raiders if he has to leave the battle. Let's see the roll on the wound chart. And it's a 5, a total of 8. And that means he is shredded to pieces by Nayara's killing sword. And Dhoros, the Dark Elf leader, is knocked out. Deeply disturbed, this Dark Elf warrior now has 2 choices. He can shoot against Nayara, who just took out his leader, or he can try to eliminate Shakarth. He decides that Shakarth is the biggest threat, so he fires his blast rifle 2 shots against Shakarth, needing 3s to hit. So at least 1 hit here. 1 hit it is, and that means Shakarth will defend on a 6. And he fails, so Shakarth takes his 2nd wound now. Torine moves out from his cover. He advances 8 inches, and he has a clear shot at the tortured warrior. 2 shots with his shotgun, needing 4s. And that's 2 hits. None of them are rending, so it's a 5-up save for the tortured warrior. So 2 defense rolls, and he makes them both. No hits. Last activation of the 2nd round is Hubrin here, who rushes his full range of 16 inches against the objective. And now the Dark Elf Raiders have to realize that they are down to half strength. So the remaining 3 in the squad need morale tests. They all have a quality of 4. So let's begin with this warrior. And he is good. And then the 2nd warrior. And he is also good. And finally, the tortured warrior with the arcane rifle. And he fails his morale test and leaves the battle. This was a catastrophic round for the Dark Elf Raiders, who lost their leader, went down to half strength, and one of their soldiers missed the morale test. High Elf fleet lost their Wraithguard, and both Nayara and Shakarth are wounded, but they still look a lot better at the moment. Let's proceed to the third round. Dark Elf Raiders will activate first, and the warrior here has a golden opportunity to take Shakarth out. 2 shots with his blast rifle, he only needs 3s, but he fails both shots. Otherwise, Shakarth will most likely have been taken down. Instead, Shakarth now can turn his rage towards the warrior. He tries a spell, and he needs a 3 to cast Soul Seeker. That's another success. So now the warrior will take 3 AP2 hits, meaning 3 6s. And he actually rolls 2 6s. A really good roll, but still not enough. 1 hit goes through, and he goes down with 1 wound. And he needs to roll on the wound chart. And that's a 2, so he is stunned at the moment, but Shakarth is not finished yet. He charges against the warrior, and by doing so, he removes him from the game. Shakarth is really doing something. That leaves only 1 Dark Elf Raider in the battle. Question is if he is too messed up to do anything. He tries to shoot a defender in the back. He needs 3s, but he rolls double 2 and fails. So the defender turns around and fires back 2 shots with his shotgun. He needs 4s, so 1 hit, and that means a 5-up save. And with a 6, the defense roll is good, so he is still in the game. Question is for how long. Now the second defender, who is close, fires, and he also fails everything. Hubrin activates, and he seizes the objective. So now he has completed the main objective of this mission. Nayara turns around and she rushes back. She is not able to do anything, but she is closer to the remaining Dark Elf Raider now. And once again, at the end of the round, we will need a morale test for the remaining Raider. And he is still good, and he will keep fighting. The High Elf fleet came out highly successful after this third round, and Shakarth really took matters into his own hands. It will take more than a miracle if the remaining lonely Dark Elf Raider warrior here is able to change anything. Let's go to round number 4. And in a final desperate attempt, the warrior advances towards Nayara and fires his blast rifle twice at point-blank range. He needs 3s to hit, and he managed to fail one of them, but hit with the other. So it's a 6 defense roll for Nayara, which she fails, and that means another wound for her, but she's still not down. So Shakarth moves against the remaining Raider now, and from this distance he can try to manifest the Soul Seeker spell once again. He will need a 3 for it to succeed. And would you believe it? Again, he is successful. So the warrior will take 3 hits with AP2, and since he needs 6s to defend, he fails all of them. So 3 wounds and he goes down. And let's see the roll on the wound chart now. And with a 4, it's more than enough to take him completely out of the game. With a really bad first round, the High Elf fleet still managed to turn the tide of battle, and now they are victorious. Shakarth and Nayara look at each other, exhausted. Nayara steps next to Shakarth with a clear indication that they will now lead the High Elf fleet together. They gather their squad and prepare to evacuate the planet. Thanks a lot for watching this battle report. I hope you'll join me for future Bat Reps.